How do they do it? Why do they do it? Riding and crashing and riding and winning and always faster and faster and faster.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to With Antone 2025 MotoGP. First of all, I want to thank everybody last week. What a great response. The I'm Out Aprilia episode. Jorge Martín still causing a bit of a storm. So what else is happening out there in MotoGP 2025? Well, we've got a couple of things happening. Rivola, maybe he's going to take over from Camelo. There's a bit of a rumour that he might be shooting for the top job. That might be great for Aprilia so he can get out and then get someone else in there to do the job. Luca Cencanello, he's the head of LCR. Looks like he's going to head up Orta. And the big one, Alberto Puig and HRC. Look, HRC and Alberto have been joined together for so many years. I mean, I personally blame Alberto Puig for the demise of Pedrosa. In fact, if you look back at when he let him go, the Honda development has gone down the toilet since he let him go. But I'm hearing he might be stepping out and they might be bringing back Gigotti, Francesco Gigotti, ex-KTM, to head up the team. And of course, he'd team up with his brother, Giacomo, who's heading up the pit box. So a couple of rumours to start off this week on MotoGP. Okay, let's talk about one of the other topical things before we start to look at round 7, the British MotoGP this weekend. What about Liberty Media? Now, I want to explore that this week a little bit. Liberty Media taking over reportedly on 30 June. So what I did is I went back and looked at Formula One when they took over, and I looked at the top 3 areas that they changed. Digital, in terms of what they did with the studio and social media, and of course, Drive to Survive, the fantastic series on Netflix. Second was race format. They looked at the sprint. They brought the sprints in and they changed around the points, how many points you got for first, second and third and so forth. And thirdly, they looked at commercial and brand. Now, what does this mean for MotoGP? Okay, I want to focus on commercial. Now, brand, we've got the MGP brand at the moment. Now, that's what it is. But at the moment, MotoGP is structured so differently. You have the factory works teams here doing what they want. Famously, they've run 4 bikes. This year, we've got Ducati running 6, and they even ran 8 bikes. And you've got the so-called satellite teams, the non-factory teams. And Dorna treats these as independent teams and it funds them in the tune of 2 to 3 million. But okay, forget all the boring stats. Okay, you're probably tuned out with those stats. What are we talking about? What will Liberty Media do? I think they will flatten the structure. I think all teams will be even. I think it'll be like Formula One. I think if you have a slot on the grid, you're going to get the same percentage, you're going to get the same share, and you're not going to be treated as a second-class citizen, getting second last year's bikes and so forth. So I think they will bring equality to the grid and equality across all of the teams. Okay, so what about this weekend? We're off to Britain. We're off to Silverstone for the round 7 of the MotoGP. Now, I just want to make a point. We talked about weather in France, and it made probably the biggest change and impact on the calendar so far. So normally Silverstone, the British GP, runs in August. So we're running earlier this year, a lot earlier, which means it's not going to be as warm. I had a look at the weather forecast. It says small chance of rain. But then again, anyone who has lived any time in Britain, out around that Silverstone area, it's about an hour and a half outside of London on the train. I was lucky enough to get out there myself and have a look at the race. It's an amazing circuit, the sense of speed. And it's very flat. It's actually built, the circuit's built in on an old World War II aircraft landing strips. So it's very flat. But let's look back at some of the results. In 2023, Alex Espargaro, guess what, on the Aprilia had won the race. Bagnaia was second in 23, one of his all-conquering years, and Brad Binder was third. The only other notable note was Quartararo was running around mid-pack in 15th. Now, last year, it was Bastianini's time to be victor on the Works Ducati. from Jorge Martín. Do you remember him? He used to ride quite quick before he kept crashing. Bagnaia was in third. I think Marc Marquez was fourth. Antonio, Espargaro, and I think Alex Marquez was down in seventh. Quartararo was down in 11th. So what does this mean for this weekend? I think there's going to be two things are going to happen this weekend. I think we're going to see Marc Marquez absolutely dominate. I think now's the time. He's got the foot on the throat of his teammate, Mr. Go Free, and I think he's done. You can put a fork in that guy and turn him over. He's done for the year. I think it's Marquez time. I think the circuit will also suit Alex Marquez. I think he will go particularly well. I'm hearing some great things about Honda and what Honda are doing. Of course, Zarco will be on a high after his French victory. And I really do think that Batman, Mr. Vinales, has found something. And I hear on the grapevine that Acosta's now using Vinales' setup. So he's off last year's bike and he's onto the 25 bike, but with Vinales' settings. So I think it's Marc Marquez from Alex Marquez. Third place, who's going to put it on the box? Maybe D'Antonio, VR46. I think that with the KTMs. I don't think it's going to be too great for Yamaha. I think Quartararo, I did see he's got a grid penalty. He's lost some spots and he's been lost practice time as well, plus financial fine. But Jack Miller goes well there. He's done pretty well there in past years. So I think one of those guys will be in the top 10. Anyway, what do you think about this week? What do you think? Jorge Martín, will Aprilia finally make a good management decision when they officially take charge in terms of changes? And what's going to happen this weekend? And where do you think the championship will leave at the end of that? As always, if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please give it a like. Look, drop a comment down. I'm really enjoying what the community's got to say. And of course, I'd love a subscription to the channel. Okay, bye for now.